Hey there, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFib.com to bring you the daily trend for April 29th, 2016, last day of the month. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. Support your knowledge in the market. See what's going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. That's it. Week 17, 4 months, 2016, all gone. With end of the month window dressing. Boy, what a week, guys. What a week. FOMC, GDP, econ data coming out, and earnings results as well. Finishing up the Friday, covering the 4 markets for today, from ES to 3 to crude. Stats following today, 3 markets trading with 7 setups total. Looking at 161, that's right, 161 ticks in total. Again, not taking every single trend move of the day, but again, the big bias, big momentum for the day. Downward trend, as we can see here on the 5144, pretty clear right there. With numerous opportunities to the downside, everybody trying to search for that bottom. Again, with the end of the month window dressing, it was anybody's market at that point, and we'll take a look at some of the price action here today. But that was one of the better trends of the day. Was after that initial drop down on all 3 indices coming down. Price action not able to grabbing all 3 at the same time, but again looking for that setup sell signal, maybe 1 or 2, 3 bars beyond, looking for the crossover with the 534, and then finding that the 5144, that's right, the 5144 chart, which primarily was in the red today, and giving you that downtrend, watching that on multiple. That's right, we see this every day, multiple trend strategies. Pick one, pick 2, pick them all. It's up to you, but it's about letting your winners run and placing that stop and getting into what will hopefully be a no-loss trade, and that is what we work on every day. So there it is, one of the setups for the day, and let's jump right in to econ data for the day. Not much. Looking at personal income, employment cost, PMI was for today. So, and then following up with the consumer sentiment at the top of the hour, and from there on, it was all about price action moving forward. I believe we had the rig count as well. I think that was down 11 on the numbers. All right, let's jump into the daily big pick here as price action came down somewhat. It was the advancers and decliners. Let's take a look first at the AD line as the big picture here. Price action, again, trying to find some traction in the morning session. Obviously on the 1-3 minute charts, found a little bit more consistency and movement. Finally gave way towards the euro close, finding some chop action at the bottom, eventually giving rise back up to the pivot. Found support here at the 750 for a little bit, and then eventually broke down. So that picture I just showed you before, prior on the 2 setups on the NQ on the left and the ES on the right to the downside, represented by the AD line market internals coming all the way down. All right, here we have the picture. As we can see here on the NQ, it's been all about downside for the last couple days. 4-hour chart, T3 moving averages crossing downside below the 5144 crossover, giving us a downward trend. That's right, a downward trend at this point, and with lots of volume the last 3 days, losing support at that 50 and that 200 period moving average. We'll take a look at what might possibly be set in store for the NQ next week. Taking a look at the ES, still coming down somewhat, not dropping down as much as the NQ. ES and YM pretty much holding up there. 50 and 200 SMAs down below here. 4-hour charts though coming down. T3 moving averages have some distance to go before those 50 and that 144 will cross over and give us that red color background. So right now in a technical momentum, we are still in an upward trend, but we are in pullback as the T3 moving averages have crossed to the downside. Taking a look at the crude long-term picture or short-term picture, we'll take a look at the long-term pictures over the weekend in our market outlook and recap. Price action again on the crude holding up this week. Holding is still up above the 200, still holding above the 50-period moving average. All right, let's jump right into the daily gaps as price action on the YM came down, closed out that open gap from back in the mid-April. So last 2 weeks took care of unfinished business as unable to hold up at the highs, closed that out 17,656 and breaking back above and closing above. Daily NQ with the big picture. Again, we saw there on the big picture as she continues to roll down. T3 moving averages. We lose support at the 200. We lose support at the 50. We have the crossover so that we look downside and ask ourselves, well, what is coming next? Well, we found that on a Fibonacci retracement today, the 38% retracement line. If NQ were to continue downside, we'd again look towards the 50% down here, 2688 at any level lower. As long as we continue to reach each level downside, we are making our way to the open gap down here at 4017. What puts us in that? Well, the intraday setup for the short to long-term holder, the NQ currently in that downtrend, which we just saw on the daily big pick. Taking a look at the daily ES, price action holding up here still at the highs, a little stronger. Price action again, just like we saw on the YM, closing out the daily gap here, 2050, 850 from mid-April. Price action holding upside as we saw in the daily pick. The ES up here holding above the 50 and the 200. T3 moving averages in a pullback, but still pretty strong uptrend, 50 holding above the 144. And finishing up on the daily gaps on the crude again closing out this week, that 11,515 open gap that we had back here, closing that out. We'll get rid of that line for the week. Fib extension to the upside here, 47.97. Again, Fibonacci lines to the upside. And as we saw on the bigger picture, on the shorter term here on the two charts, T3 moving averages holding upside, 50 above 144. So we are still in a uptrend on the crude. Taking a look at the midnight opens here on the NQ, we saw price action again, not being able to push any lower than lower range number one, low extension number one on the initial balance. Finding of obviously price action in the 1 hour open range here, hitting its downside Fibonacci target at 4305. Taking a look at the YM, price action with its Fibonacci levels here, being able to just come down to the target low, 17,557, within a couple ticks shy. Again, reaching that low extension on the initial balance. It was 17,546 here, the 600-day VPOC, which was within the range. Taking a look at the NQ and ES, finding price action reaching its Fibonacci target downside at 48.75, holding here at the low extension on initial balance and breaking the 2066.50 represented by the 600-day. That's right, the 600-day volume point of control. Let's take a look at the big picture daily trend. Here we go, taking a look at the crude today, finding a little bit of a struggle here to get any trend going. The big technical momentum was to the downside, 50 below the 144. Price action trying to break above the 50 a couple times, not able to until the latter part of the session. Several opportunities downside on 2 to 3 charts in sync, giving you an entry to the downside here, one of the better entries of the session in the PM session, and then back to the upside on 3 charts in the green after a pullback. Taking a look at the YM as we closed out the month here. Price action again, 50 underneath the 144 for the majority of the session, as we saw several opportunities to the downside in the AM session with 3 to 4 charts in sync. It was the choppiness at the bottom that we saw in the AD line here at the beginning, and avoiding these setups here at this point, maybe just sitting out the rest of the day, or otherwise jumping right back in the afternoon session on a nice move up right here. Buy signal to the upside. That's what we're looking for. We saw that on all 3 indices today. Buy signal on the 3 charts, and then eventually getting up to the highs, not the highs of the session, but closing out towards the end of that run. Taking a look at the NQ, price action on the NQ to, again, same picture to the downside. T3 moving averages crossing over with 4 charts in sync. Again, that afternoon session, a little bit of a move up here on 3 charts in the green, 3 charts in the green. 50 attempting to cross over the 144. Eventually was able to get upside on a smaller time frame. Price action right here, 3 charts in the green, and there she went all the way to the upside. Again, the bottom row, this is on a 2-minute chart, which I tend to follow on a 1-minute chart. So this was all in the green right here. So you got yourself 1, 2, 3, 4 to the upside. And wrapping up with the ES, again, same picture on the ES this morning. Price action falling after yesterday's price action falling. Pre-market falling this morning. Solid bodies, tails down. Heikin Ashi bars, as we could see here. All price action to the downside. Let's go ahead and move that over for you. There we go. ES downtrend. There we go. Solid body trails down. All 4 charts in the red. All 4 charts in the red. All 4 charts in the red. Just riding it all the way down. And eventually in the PM session, finding some price action. All we got to do is change that chart to what we usually follow, which is a 1-minute chart. And there you go. You have your green solid body tails up. And as let's take a look here as posted at tradingfibs.com. Again, looking for those multiple trend studies to keep you in the trend. But there it was right there. 3 charts. Let's go ahead and open that so you can see that a little bit closer. There you go. Having all 4 charts and seeing buy signal to the upside. All 4 charts riding to the upside. All right, so this weekend we'll go ahead and do our weekly futures, ETFs, and market cap leaders. Want to capture that as we take a look at where price action may be headed for the week based on the technical momentum. Again, only trading off the big charts, taking a look at economic data for next week. When you check out the futures, ETF, and market cap leaders, please make sure you visit not only the site here to capture the video, but also the weekly supplemental technical outlook, looking at markets from the futures to the key indices all the way down to the FX pairs. All right, that concludes an insight into the daily trend sell-off on Friday. Feel free to stop by at tradingfibs.com or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My trading mantra, one simple strategy: any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You can find me every day on Twitter at TradingFibs, and as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. I only trade what's in front of me and on my charts. And as always, leave your bias at the door when trading. Have yourselves a Blue Zone weekend. Good day, good night, and good trading.